Oh no, now the knee. Well, that was it. Manu, what's he done there? He's sold the dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. That is set up a try for Momirovski.
It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back and gets the football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf. And then just takes off.
Oh, what a beauty. So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gents, to the first 2023 episode of the Supercoach Tragics NRL podcast. I'm not sure about you guys. I'm pretty excited. We'll go around the grounds, introduce the panel tonight. So I'll start with you, Roscoe. Welcome back, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. I'm super pumped for the season, mate. It's been feels like it's been an eternity, and glad BBL's over because I'm just looking forward to being able to, not have to worry so much about trading so quickly and missing lockouts and all that sort of jazz. So bring it on. So yeah. I'm excited for it, and hopefully do okay this year after last year's schmozzles.
Yeah, I'm hoping to redeem myself a little bit. It won't be too hard for me. I was pretty poor last year. So next up, we have Alan. Alan, mate, welcome aboard, mate. So
thanks.
I know it's only been a short preseason. How's your preseason going?
Pretty good. Just like reading and watching lots of YouTubes on different teams to try and get prepared now that Big Bash is over.
That's a bit more research than what I've done so far. So that's why I did the podcast, so you guys can give me all the feedback I need.
Yeah.
Awesome. And also we have Brod. Brod, how is your preseason going, mate?
I think I'm coming into NRL with a pretty good track record. Had a pretty good BBL season. Top 0.5% in FBL. So nice. It's pretty good results coming into it. So I'm feeling strong. Can't do worse than last year. So up for a lot of cash cobs.
Yeah, I think this is you did the same thing last year. I'm pretty sure with FPL, you were doing really, really good, and then NRL started and you failed. I'm pretty sure because you spent all your time on NRL. So hope your FPL keeps going the way it's going, mate.
I'll give the NRLs a head start.
I'll need a head start, mate. I reckon. All right, and last but not least, Glen, mate, welcome back, mate. I know you had a pretty good BBL season. How you been going with NRL, mate? Preseason starting.
Yeah, I'm excited, like all of you. I can't wait to watch some footy, see some of the new players going around. I've got a few players this year I've demarked that I think are going to do well. So I'm keen to try and find room for them in my side.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. All right, guys. So first things first, we'll get started with some announcements. So I'll start with our Tragics overall group, guys. So get a pen ready. If you want to join the Tragics overall group, the code is 223606. Jump in, guys. I'm hearing some noise in the background. I think that's our dog. I think might have some noise in the background.
Alan, have you got a TV going or something, mate?
Yeah, I think my wife's watching TV.
That's all we can hear.
I'm not very, very good at multi-skilling, so I'm very distracted quite easily.
Whack it on mute if you want, Alan, when you're not talking if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, maths are on. Alan's involved.
Maths is on.
I'm surprised he's on the pod then.
There's some good shows on now. Survivors. I bet you she's watching Survivor.
Oh, good. All right. Now, yeah, obviously, first episode, we got those little jitters at the start, so that's always a good way to start the season. So that number again, guys, for the Tragics overall group, 223606. Jump in, free to enter. And I'll ask Brod, what do we have on offer for the end of the year for the winner of this group, mate?
Yeah, so we'll go on the ring again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mix it up this year. If they get top 50, I'll give them a $200 entry. Top 100, and then we'll work our way back down. So the better you go, the better off it is.
I like it. More incentive to go harder.
Wow.
So, really, really good. I like that a lot. Awesome.
Can you cut it down to 50 people then? So I've got a chance of winning something?
No, you need to be 50 overall, mate. That was,
I'm 50 overall. I thought
I
okay.
was
So
second
if you
overall.
come if you come first, you still win the ring. But if you come first and top 50 overall, then you get the $200 entry as well. So that's all right, bro. I got your back. I can understand. I can translate from Broad to English.
Hey,
Awesome.
I'm just giving away free money here.
That's it. Free
Still
money.
plenty of
Awesome.
money to throw away, mate.
That's
Totally.
it. And also, guys, another one of our groups we're running at the moment. This is more of an invites only, but I'll get Glenn to give us a spell on the Andrew Johns Cup.
Yeah, I'm excited for this season, man. We've got 6 teams that are going to be in the tier 1, and Herbie Cup's one of them. They're the 6 team that have made it into the top tier group. The rest are all the Supercoach Playbook, Tragics, Experience, the Supercoach Hub, and all that crew. And then we've got the tier 2. So if those that don't know, it's 5 a team. If you want to join, message me, and we might be able to get you into the tier 2. So 5 a team, and you join an overall group, and everyone's scores are added together, and the highest score obviously gets bragging rights. Tragics just won the BBL, so
Yeah, well,
Humble
Kobe's
brag.
only covered up by me, mate. So can't hold everyone. How do we make Div 1, Bart? That's what I want to know.
what's that?
How did the Herbies make Div 1? Hey,
Now, where did you make it to? You were up there, weren't you?
like we pulled strings here to get the Herbies into the top tier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
We know a guy.
that's
I
you
think
know a guy.
I think it's rigged. I
Yeah,
really
Yeah.
think it's
you
rigged.
know a guy. I sort of bumped to 6 and up you went.
I feel sorry for the person that wins the team that wins Div 2 because they should be really in Div 1. Awesome. All right. So Andrew Johns Cup, guys. If you're interested, please jump onto the group, Facebook group, and message Glenn, and we'll see what we can do for you getting the Div 2 comp. We'll move on now to our cash comp. So, Broad, every year you guys are very aware that we run cash comps, and we run probably the most cash comps around. I think last year we got about $25,000 we held, and probably going to be even more. Yeah, it was pretty. It was normally between $20,000 and $30,000 we end up holding and paying out at the end of the year. So, Broad, give us a bit of a spiel on how the cash comps are running this year, mate.
Yeah, just so anyone wants to know, I don't hold the cash, so don't come and rob me because I've got none of it. No, so obviously cash comps. I think we've been doing it for about 5 years now. So there's you, Dan, and then there's Aaron that looks after it with us. I run it. I think there's about 12 leagues, 4 groups. We do a weekly winner overall. Best one I like is the little $5 knockout where you take out all the money from everybody, nice and cheap. I can say that I've never had so many entries so early. So if you do want to get a spot, what I've got on offer now is all I'll be opening. So getting quick, they range from 500 to 20 for head to head, and then $20 to 200 for overall. So just jump on our pages, and it's on Ross's page as well, which I'm sure will say. But just message me and we can get started.
Awesome.
And draft too, bro. Bro, you doing draft as well?
I've got a $20 draft open, 50 and 70 is already sold. So
yeah, all right. And if those interested in cash comps as well, if you want to get more information, and probably we do regular posts on the Tragics comp, Tragics page. But if you want to go into the actual page we use, it's the NRL Supercoach Tragics Cash. Look at that page there. We'll add you in, and then we do regular posts on there as well. So that way, another way that you guys can feel safe handing your money over, that we are not hiding from anyone. You can find us whenever you want. So. All good. All right.
Just to add to that point, because it's the first one, I just want to put it out there that we all do have jobs because we do run the biggest cash comps out there. We don't get them paid out within 1 or 2 days. We obviously start with the higher amounts, pay partials until you can recognise. But just give us time. Yeah, within a week we'll have it all paid out. It's just a lot of money.
Yeah, especially when we do transfer outs, often we have certain limits we can spend every day, so we can do as much as we can in one day, then we have to wait the next day to do the rest. So
Exactly right.
when you're doing $30,000 worth of transfer outs, it can be quite time consuming, but we get those done as fast as possible. Awesome. All right, and one last thing before we go, Roscoe, you and the boys started a new page and another podcast as well. I want to give it a bit of a spiel there, mate.
Yeah, so we've started up a new group called NRL Supercoach Off the Bench. It consists of myself and Timmy O and Guy and also Brad Smith. So we do a pod on a Sunday night. At the moment, we're just going through positions until the season starts, and then once the season starts, we will do a pod after each round and do basically a round wrap up of the good players, the bad players, and all that sort of stuff like that. So that we are looking to possibly do it live from this week too. So that way you guys can come jump on, ask questions live while we're going. And we can answer them there and there, hopefully. And we also are running an overall group code for that one, which is 170834 is the code for the overall group. And we will be running some head-to-head comps as well. So if you are interested, jump on to the Facebook group, comment with your team name and your ranking from last season, and jump on the overall league, and we'll get you in.
Awesome.
I'll be tuning in just to hear you go off every Sunday night, Ross, about who screwed you over, mate. So don't worry.
There'll be someone every week without fail, bro. You know how I operate.
Yeah. And if you have a good Supercoach team, you still go for the Tigers. So you're going to be sad there as well. So
have a bit for every time you hear him say must have.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys, before we get started, just one quick mention. I haven't got all details just yet, but keep your eyes peeled for the NRL Supercoach Talk Mega Guide. The guys are doing some great work behind the scenes now, putting it together. When we get more info, we'll share it with you. But every year I get it, and it is probably the most comprehensive information that you'll get for pre-season entry. So keep your eyes peeled. As soon as we know, we'll share it out. It's going to be some good reading.
Hey, just a hint there, maybe read it this year, mate, might help.
Do we have a ring this year, didn't you say, Rod? For the overalls, so just so people know, there's also a ring for the winner of the Tragics overalls comp.
Yeah, well, those rings are pretty snazzy. So shout out to the guys at SC Supercoach Champions. Awesome rings there. I've been lucky enough to win a couple and maybe steal one off someone that didn't show up.
Really? Is that right?
No, it was one of our own private comps, mate. Not one of the ones we give out. Yeah, so I can't talk right now because he's right here. Yeah, all good, guys. All right, let's get started, guys. So today, I think we're going to talk a bit more about the spine. What players, bit of a team reveal, I guess. So we're going to go around the grounds, we'll start with the hooker position. So I'll start with you, Roscoe. I see you up there, mate. What are your thoughts around the hooker position, mate?
At the moment, God, it's hard because I'm really finding it hard to leave Harry Grant out of my team. Like, I'm really struggling to leave him out. Like, I think for me, if you're going to go for Gunn, he's pretty much closest to must have. But at the moment, just purely for their draw, I've started with Reece Robson. Yeah, just like their draw, but I think I'll probably end up going back to Harry Grant and obviously Braden. Cheese will be my other hooker as well.
Yeah, all good. I think it's weird because it's like there's actually some decent value in that position, but it's so hard to really miss out on the gun at the same time. So unfortunately, only got two spots there we can really fill. So it's a bit of a challenge there. We'll go to you, Alan. How are your hookers going there, mate?
I've done pretty much the same as Ross and just stuck with Grant because you always get what you want with Grant, and he'll probably play close to 80. And I've got Cheese on the bench because he'll probably do well at the Roosters, I guess.
Yeah. I'm looking very similar myself with Cheese, but I'm still not holding my breath with him. I don't know what it is. There's something about him that I'm not quite sold on just yet. So I don't know. It's just a vibe I got, I guess. And
what do we see with him? Do we see him possibly playing 40, just on hooker, and then moving to the back row? Like, is that
might
we're
be the
all
option.
thinking he's going to probably play about like 60, 65 minutes and just rotate between the two positions?
Well, he obviously he's been very public about it. He's always wanted to be a hooker, and that's what he believes he is. And he's said he wants to move to a team where he can be the starting hooker. So whether he's happy to move to lock, and I don't know, he's just a footy player. He'll do whatever he's pretty much told. But like he might just want to play hooker, and that could be his only choice. But I don't know, man. I'm not Trent Robinson, so I got no idea. So
yeah.
All right, go to you, Glenn, mate. Hooker position, mate. What are you thinking?
Well, at the moment, it's pretty generic. I've got Grant in there and I've got Smith. Like you, I'm a little bit worried about Smith myself. I think he'll get more minutes and I think points per dollar is value. But I worry about Smith for the Roosters in general. I don't think that he's the receipt, the get the ball out quickly kind of player. He's more the kind of player that he's good for Supercoach because you'll pick it up and he'll run it a lot. But I wonder how much that impacts the rest of the side. So I'll be watching with interest. And Watson's injured from memory because I believe they'll probably share that role. Both roles, 9, 13.
Yeah, they're both they're very versatile there at 9 and 13. Yeah. So yeah. I totally agree. I think the players around him. I think what the Roosters really need is that just that simple ball playing. There's nothing like what comes to mind for me is when we had Peter Wallace at the Panthers when he was playing hooker there. Boring, just feeding the ball. That's all he did. That's what I reckon the Roosters need because they've got the great spine on the outside that can do everything else. So.
And I think he can do that with Robson there as the coach. Robson's a very good coach, and if he can simplify Cheese's role to make him understand that his role is to feed the halves in Walker and Keary. And if he can do that and give good service without taking the ball, taking it on too much, then great work. Cheese is a great player, but I just still don't know if I rate him as a 9.
I think you guys are right on that too. And I think that he's not going to get you those attacking stats either. But it's like you guys said, he just gets the ball from dummy half and passes it straight to his playmakers. Whereas blokes like Harry Grant, and Reece Robson will get you the attacking stacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Especially Harry Grant. He's very dangerous inside the opposition 20. Put that short pass through to his forwards or put that grubber through to one of his wingers. You know what I mean? Whereas Cheese doesn't really have that in his game. So, I can understand it. I can understand people maybe not going him, but...
Interesting that you mentioned Robson too, Roscoe, because one scenario I looked at based on the draw with the Cows was running Grant and Robson and just running straight to gun hooker straight off the bat and just be done with it. But
it's tempting. It's tempting. But then you have a look at the rest of your team and there's no way you'd be able to have Cleary and Grant Cleary and Hines and then have your fullback stuck as well. You'd have to have some leeway there somewhere. Because otherwise you just won't have any guns in any other positions.
I made the sacrifice in front row at the moment, but I agree with you. I mean, whenever you're needed to pay Paul, you're always lessening one spot to in here.
Yeah.
What about the injury with Connor Watson? Would that who would be backup hooker for Smith if he's out?
Well, they bought. Didn't they just buy another hooker from another club?
Turpin.
Turpin, and they've also got Drew Hutchinson too. Don't forget they can use him as well.
Oh yeah, true.
So they've got plenty of backup hooker options there.
Yeah. Well, we'll go to Brod now. Last one of the hookers, mate. How are you sitting?
Yeah, I'll just change it up completely.
Good. I like it.
So obviously, Grant. You all know where I stand with Grant. I reckon he was a top 5 pick in draft last year. Turned out exactly that way. But I'm a little smoky this year. I'm going to chuck Reedy in there at the moment. Obviously, the Dogs, I think, have got more points to score in them than they did last year. The captain's little mantle on top of his head. So I think he's going to take it to another level that he had at Parramatta. So, look, it's obviously only early days for us. And I somehow started with him. He was my first pick this year when I opened Supercoach up last night. So
get the crystal ball out so we know what sort of minutes he's going to play, because I was trying to work it out. I've got no idea what sort of minutes Marnie's going to play there. Because they're going to have. He's not going to play 80. He won't play 80. I don't think he's going to play 80. No. But you'd have to think he's going to play about 60, right?
I reckon it'd be the high 60s.
Yeah.
It depends who they've got in that backup position.
They got Fuamanu Brown as well. That's there. How many minutes they're going to get?
Serraldo's a new coach for us all. We've seen what he can do with the attack at Penrith, but that's all we've got really to go on. So
that's something we can look at really with this is something that I'll be keeping a solid eye out. I know you guys are the same. That bench for the Bulldogs, if there's no hooker named, because I can only really see one person that they may. Oh, they got that Toppin as well. I think it is as well.
Didn't they have that Bindi Iota or whatever his name? Bindi someone as well?
Yeah.
Was playing some hooker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
as
So
well.
there's a few very I know unlikely fringe players there, but we know that Mahoney can play the full 80, but it's whether what the Serrato wants out of him. So
I think the style that the Dogs play could be very conducive to Supercoach points for Reid Mahoney. I actually don't dislike that shout. The more I actually sit and
Say
think
that
about
again, Glenn.
what's that?
Say that again.
Glenn
Even the
doesn't.
clock's right twice a year, bro.
I'm glad we're recording this.
Yeah.
We can come back to this in a few rounds, Rod.
I was going to
That's
say,
like when I
Glenn
bring
actually
up
agreed with me
Foxy
one
last
time.
Yeah, like I said, even the clock's right twice a year.
Yeah.
No,
Awesome.
because obviously all up to feedback. I don't know. Just one of those ones that just sat out. I think 580. So there's money to make, but then obviously points are plenty, especially
I think as well, he had a pretty average year last year. The year before, he was pretty solid. So he's price per dollar, points per dollar, he's pretty good, I reckon. So just it's one of those things, a sideways little think about these pods, because we've all got very similar hookers at the moment, and it's good to have those. I was going to go on to, because if we all had the same hookers, I was going to ask who would be a nice pod option, and I think Mahoney is a sneaky option there. And I think you also mentioned the other one was Robson as well, who could be another option there as well. So
Hannah Boyd seems to be popular too. There's a trail of thought that people think he's going to start and goal kick. I don't believe that's going to happen, but it does save you a fair bit of coin if he does.
yeah,
Why has everyone dropped off old Damien Cook? He's like,
Mate, leave it Cookie alone. He's a pod, mate.
I think he's an option, but not to start, because they've got a really horrible draw to start South. They've got some really tough games.
The tougher the draw, better.
I reckon come around about round 10, he'd be a good pickup, and he'd probably be cheap too.
I'd rather Cookie in the hard games, but Ross.
What's that?
I'd rather Cookie in the hard games than
me too.
Maybe. But he's only 2% owned or something.
Well, everyone jump on him and leave Reid to me then. I'm all happy.
The hookers are better, the more bait.
I'm interested to see how Marshall King's going to go up the Dolphins as well, because he could be a sneaky option at some stage too.
I think the Dolphins are the same as the Titans. They've got so many different options, but none.
Yeah. Because they've got Nick Kareem. Because Nick Kareem will come on the bench and play some hooker. No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Milford's not even the favourite to be the 5'8" now at the Dolphins. Like, it's just one of those.
Who knows what Wayne's going to do? Maybe get Darius Boyd out of retirement and put him in at 5'8".
I don't think Wayne Bennett's a coach for building a club myself. I think he's the kind of coach you bring in for an already built club and he can fine tune. I don't believe he's the kind of
Bellamy would have been a good fit for the Dolphins if they could have got him.
I think Nathan Brown would have. People probably don't know the full depth of what he does, but I think he would have been to rebuild.
He's good at slapping people, isn't he?
He'll slap them in the line, get them going, and then you can bring in the Bennetts.
It took Bennett 6 years to get the Broncos the first one, so
yeah, that's right. And they had a lot of money.
And there was no money back then.
Talent. Well, the Broncos had it.
That's right. Dolphins will win something this year anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah, a game.
Wooden spoon?
The wooden spoon. That's right.
And that's probably the only reason. I didn't mind JMK last year. That's the only reason I probably would stay away, is because the uncertainty on how the Dolphins are going to play. He might be a decent pickup later on, but there's too many other options there to really risk it on something like that. A new team, so many uncertainties. I'm going to say one thing before we move on to the halfback position, and just a more devil's advocate, or just an idea. Josh Hodgson, what are our thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't mind it. The problem with Josh Hodgson is that I don't know how many minutes he'll play, but he's another one that could shift into a lock position, especially with Maddo out for the first 3 rounds. So I think Hodgson could be interesting. And Parramatta are another one who play the style of game that would suit Hodgson. So I don't hate that shout at all.
Especially with he's only 385, very cheap. So
yeah,
I mean, obviously, we spoke about him on our pod on Sunday night. So anyone must jump on the page and have a listen to that. We did mention Josh Hodgson, and you know, it's the fact of the matter is that Jake Arthur's probably going to be on the bench, and if anything, he may take 10 minutes off him, if that. Like, he might not even take any minutes off him, because Arthur has a tendency of having him on the bench and not playing him at all, or bringing him on for 5 minutes. So I don't hate the option, but again, it's risky to jump on a player that's come back from an injury like that as well too. So
You know what's
I
going
think he played one game in 2 years, was it? Or something like
he
that?
hasn't played much football in the last 2 years, so it's very risky,
No.
very risky.
I don't know. Those
But in saying
Photoshop
that, it might
biceps
be
look pretty good.
he might be worth one looking at towards the buys if you're looking for a downgrade, because obviously they play all the three big buys too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's good.
you know, if you want someone as a backup hooker that's going to play all the main buys, then he's probably the best one to go to.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's move up to halfback, guys. I'll start with my two halves, and to me, this was a no-brainer. It was Nico Hines and Nathan Cleary. Very, very big money I'm spending in my halves, but I feel like it's a. I'll get Ross pretty excited here. I think it's a must-have. So, but I'm just too scared not to have those in my team. Those guys in my team. It's just so like with, say, for example, if you haven't got Grant in your team, it can hurt. But I think Cleary and Hines, they can destroy your team if you. Yeah. So, Roscoe, what are your halves looking like, mate?
Yeah, I've got those two as well. There was the contemplation of possibly not running Hines and going Hughes, just because of his average that he has when Paps is not in that team. He's got a massive average. But I don't really want to have to, make that change back to Hines in round 3 when Paps comes back or whenever he gets back in, try and find that additional dollars, because Hines is 900K. It's a lot of dollars to find if you don't start with him. And yes, he may lose cash to start with, but he's also going to score you a bucket load of points as well. So
he's a keeper. He's not one of those guys that you're going to get in and go, oh no, he's lost money. I better sell him before he loses more. He's in your team. He's there.
Yeah,
so.
it's hard not to run those two. It really is hard to, like, Cleary's. I'll say it must have. But Hines is pretty much close to it as well. It's just hard to go away from those two. I mean, the only way I could see people doing that is if they want to boost up their other positions and run maybe. Because I've seen sides that are running Cleary and Tanner Boyd, and I'm just going, oh no, don't. It's either Cleary and Hines, or you should go like Cleary Hughes or something like that. You really need to have that position stacked up.
Totally agree. Alan, how your halves looking, mate?
Same as what Ross said. I've just gone Hines and Cleary because, like he said, if they have a massive games and trying to find cash to bring those two in, not going to happen. So you got to start with them.
Yeah, awesome. I agree with that too. Go to Glenn. Your halves, mate, same as again.
Well, yeah, I make a couple of sides every year, and one of my sides does have Cleary and Hines.
Your wife's side?
Yeah, right. I don't have a wife. I need a wife. I need a wife, guys. So another side that I've made, I have a cheapie down at in one of my halves spots, and then I've kept Cleary. I just think 900 is a lot of money. And I think that I've worked out that based on draw and a few other things, that I see him losing around 140 to 160K over the first 4 rounds. And that's nearly 10% of your budget, right? That's a lot of coin. You can get a 400K 7 and you can bolster up 2 positions. So I like my side with only Cleary. I like that side better.
And I'm assuming if you had to pick between one of the two, you'd go Cleary, obviously.
Yeah, Cleary every time.
Yep,
absolutely. Cool. Ceiling side, base, he's got it all.
Yeah, too easy. Brod, any different, mate? I'm assuming you're Mr. Podman over here, probably all gone crazy.
Okay. I think one of them. I bet, unlike Glenn, I've only made one team so far.
But, you won't make your wife team in the buy round, mate. That's what you do there.
You get that sniper out.
Too hard. So Cleary's the one that I've got. Obviously the second position. Look, I'm running Hastings at the moment. It's not sold. Don't worry about that.
I'm getting scared now.
That's very poddish.
No, I'm actually Hastings is the one I have. I like that. I'm actually getting scared.
Yeah, this is getting a bit scary now, Glenn. I'm with Glenn. I think that there is an opportunity for Hines to lose a big chunk of money pretty quick, and you can yeah, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but you'll be able to get him in, especially with the trades, the boosters that we've got now. I think you can make that move a couple of weeks later and not be hurt too much and end up in front. So,
Just to give context, by the way, on my two sides. So what happens is I build a side, I take a screenshot of it, then I build another one. I've never had two sides.
Look at him! Look at him getting not defensive. Look at it.
I don't know that. I know someone on one side has.
Hey, cough. Bullshit.
My wife loves Supercoach. She just doesn't know it yet.
My daughter does.
mine always gets angry when she sees the email come through on morning.
Mine does as well. She's like, "What's your Supercoach shit?"
Is that all you scored? You suck.
Well, one thing I haven't really looked at so much just yet is the draw. So I haven't really looked at the draw too much yet. One thing I do know is that the Cowboys have a decent draw. But yeah. So what are we thinking of a pod moving Dearden or something like that?
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I've seen him in some teams, and I've actually had the question, "What do you think of it?" And I said, "I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I really don't hate it. I think there's cash to be made there with Dearden with that draw that they've got to start, and if he can make you that cash and get you up to Hines later on, then I mean, if you want to go a pod, like we all pretty much think that Hines is going to lose cash. I'm just having a look at the Sharks draw now. So they've got South, Para, Raiders, and St George to start. So there's a couple of tough games in there to start, but he relishes those tough games too. So.
Well, I'm just realizing right now that Dearden's actually 5'8" only, so we're talking about halfbacks now. So I just had that idea in my head. Let's not talk about Chad Townsend, man. Well, one thing what are we looking at with the Roosters draw? Sam Walker, a guy we know has a massive upside, and he started to pull it together a bit towards the end last year. I know Glenn mentioned before, new hooker. You never know how it's going to get to him. Is it something that we look at as definitely an outside there thinking? Roscoe?
I've seen Sam Walker in a few teams as well. And again, my question is that if he doesn't do well, he's only 623k, and if he starts to leave a bucket load of cash, it's going to be harder to reach Hines if he doesn't start to go well. That's the problem. I mean, looking at their draw now, they've got Dolphins, Warriors, South, Para, Melbourne, Sharks is their first 7 games. It's not really an easy draw by any means. So I don't see him making enough cash where if it gets to round 8 and he's not scoring well, you're going to really struggle to get that cash to go up to a Hughes or go up to a Hines or something like that. That's the only issue I see with that.
Yeah, honestly, he's that guy that is capable of a 12 and he'll lose a ton of cash, but he can make it quickly as well. But
and if we remember, roll back to last season with the Roosters, a lot of their play went to the other side to Keary. So I think Keary can definitely take a lot of points off Walker as well, which would be concerning to be owning Sam Walker as well. I can't do it, but I don't. Yeah, it's not for me. It's just not for me. I just think that there's other better options like Hughes and in particular as well. So. Yeah, Hastings. So there's a few probably better options for me. So.
Here's one for you. So obviously we've got a couple of new teams, new combinations are going to happen. Who's going to be, do you reckon, the halves for the Dolphins, or who's going to be the other half for Manly?
Well, Dolphins will be SOS and
Milford.
Katoa's pretty high up there, but a lot of talk about him, the Penrith guy.
Yeah.
He's a gun. But we all know Bennett has a history with Milford as well, so it all depends on how that's going to go.
Mate, you heard me singing Sullivan's praises a couple of years ago when he went to the Broncos, and I was saddened that they didn't use him. He's an exceptional talent, and he's definitely.
It's been at like 4 clubs now or something.
Yeah, he hasn't got the trot he deserves. Just something I wanted to point out that you just mentioned before. Like, so if you buy a halfback for 400k and you don't have a Hines at 900k, and Hines was to get 90, and your 400k was to only get 45 or 50, you've actually done well. is the money that you've saved, you've invested into other spots that enables them spots to make the coin. So it's all about balancing that extra coin into extra positions. And I think this is a good season for doing it because there's so many options in all the key positions that are good second or third options this year. I really like it in the strike positions.
It's just picking those right mid ranges. That's going to be the biggest problem of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's always the way. But look at the people that jumped on Turbo last year in that first round.
Yeah, Timmy O's one. I'm sure you'll listen to this later, but Timmy
O and his selection that we all told him not to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look at those things. You just got to get that right points per dollar.
Yeah,
and I just don't think it's been Pines this year. So
I agree.
I'm happy to be told I'm wrong. And if I
don't think you're wrong, Brad. I just think for me, it bit me in the arse not starting him last year because I thought he would struggle in the halves. Because we saw what we did at Melbourne and he didn't seem to offer much there. And I didn't bring him into round 8 or round 9. And by that time, my ranking gone to shit. But it could be second year syndrome. He could have a shocker this year for all we know. But again, it's a mistake, you know what I mean? So
I was the opposite. I had him in draft. I swapped him off in draft in a keeper league, but then I bought him in classic and started with him. It was my only showing light I had at the start of the year.
Yeah.
Me too.
So
all right, let's move on to the 5'8" position, guys. So I'll start with my 5'8s. I'm going with another, I wouldn't say gun, but they're potential guns, and that's Matt Burton and Dewey as my two 5'8s. So as when we start revealing more of our team, you'll start realizing where my money has been coming from because the rest of my team is rubbish. A lot of money in my spine. But yeah, I'm liking the idea of because I think the spine is where a lot of the points come from, and I feel like I want to get a head start and a lot of the cash to be made in the center wing, even the second row position, with some slow burners in the front. So, I like Burton and Dewey because I think Dewey, I think he has the upside when it comes to he can increase in value quite well because had a bit of a softer year last year, obviously. So, we'll go to you, Roscoe. What are your 5'8s looking like, mate?
Well, I only slapped this side together for the first time, and I haven't touched it since about 2 days ago. And it'll probably change, but I've got Munster and Schuster at the moment. I probably won't run Munster, just for the fact that I'm potentially looking to upgrade one of my fullbacks, and I really need to downgrade Munster to probably Birdo or Dewey to do that. I might even look at Dearden. I'm not sure yet. They're my 3 options that I'm probably going to go to. But nothing's locked yet. That's just what I've got at this stage. And as I said, I haven't touched it since. So that's what I've got at the moment. But as I said, I think it'll change. I'm really scared to not own Munster, but I just don't know if he can back up the big year that he had last year. I just don't. There's just so many mouths to feed there at the Storm that I don't know. Especially when Paps comes back. Starting Munster might be great. He might turn up the first couple of games, but then Pappy comes back, takes a lot of his attacking stats off him, and then I'm having to trade him out again. So, I don't think I'm going to run with that at this stage.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Alan, your 5'8s, mate.
Looks like I'm copying the same team as Ross. I've got Munster and Schuster on the bench. I can't start without Munster because just, the form he had last year. Only issue is that he's apparently back on the drink, so don't know if that's going to affect his performance this year.
He won a state of origin on the drinks, man. I'm not sure what everyone's worried about there.
Won it after the grand final. I was hungover. So
he was on the drinks then, and he played brilliantly. So I think last year was just a coincidence, mate. That's it. All right.
And probably because he's not in the contract year anymore. Like last year was all about where's he going and. Yeah.
And when he got signed, he realized I can start drinking again. So, all good, bro. How your 5'8s looking, mate?
Ross asked one question. Ross, is this the only position that doesn't have a must-have? I don't know as a yes.
No, that's a no, mate. Because the forwards and CTW might be a different story too. I think.
All right. We'll keep on track with this story. See where this goes. I'm I've got Burton, and at the moment I've got a cheapie. So depending on who gets named, Dolphins or Manly or Titans, we'll see where that goes. But I'm sure I'll have a cheapie in there somewhere. So I've just left that open, just in at 350k. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
So
I think there's got to be a cheapie. I've gone guns everywhere to my spine, and if you look at the rest of my team, I've definitely sacrificed a lot to get that. So I feel like I'm tempted to sacrifice one of my guns to get, say, someone in the center wing maybe, or someone has a high ceiling. But yeah, I'm a bit nervous the way I'm running things. But yeah, I think you need to sacrifice somewhere, and I think there's a lot of value in 5-8 position. I reckon a lot of value there. So, Glenn, how your 5-8 looking, mate?
Yeah, well, I had Munster and Schuster, and I ended up moving Schuster up the second row and bringing in Burton and Dewey. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. I think there's money to be made there. They're both players that kick goals. But if a cheapie comes along, I'll probably sacrifice one of them and bolster my centre wing. You were saying before that you've got a gun spine, so you've had to sacrifice elsewhere. Well, I've done the same thing. But when I look at the makeup of my side, the places where I have sacrificed, there's money to be made. There's actually some genuine cheapies in those positions. Yeah. So that's enabled all of us, I think, to be able to build our spines up that little bit better, because there is genuine cows in those other positions.
You know, to be honest, I looked at my team and I've still got, say, an Angus Crichton in there. I've still got at least one gun in my second row, and then my front row. I don't think it's a big ceiling spot. I got Christian Welsh in there, for example. So I'm not like that bad. And my center wings are all up and coming, either fullbacks that are very cheap, and so there's definitely a lot of value there in my team. And that's why I thought I could sacrifice enough there. But I'm more worried about, I want to have a solid 25 players, because we're going to need it. I might have to sacrifice somewhere to kind of bolster up one of my cheapies to make a more playable player. Because if we have, for example, I've got Sloan in my team, has a week off in round one, and then if I have, say, 3 Cowboys players, when they have a bye, I got to sacrifice somewhere. I know I haven't got to buy for a while, but
in previous seasons, it's been a strategy of people, and it's been a quite successful strategy for people to run 1, even 2, even 3 NPRs. This is not the season to be doing that.
No way.
There's a little bit of forewarning that revenue is built up on your bench. Even if they're not playing, you're building revenue. And in this season, you're going to need them. You're going to need to call upon them for when the buys are coming around.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
just on that too, as well. You probably only want to run a max of at least 1 to 2 NPRs. But the other food for thought is too, if you've got a player in your team from pretty much every single club, don't forget you'll be able to use them as your VC loop every week too.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you've got a Dragons player in your team, you can VC loop them for the first round. So you don't need to be going heavy hard on MPRs this year.
Who's buying a Dragons player?
Pros and cons.
Sloan. I think
I got Sloan.
I think Sloan's worth having at 290k. Starting
fullback.
I think he's worth it.
Yeah.
Still won't score points.
There's still a lot of fullbacks this year under the 300k mark. That are, some of them are quite attractive. But I agree. I've actually gone a little bit lighter in my front row as well to actually bolster a second gun centre wing. And I've also got Angus, but there's a story that Egan Butcher's been training at right edge over Butcher.
I think that's ludicrous if he does that. Butcher was one of their best players last year. Absolutely. I think that's crazy.
I've got Nate Butcher, but if Egan comes in, I'll be definitely swapping down, because that's 130, I think 164k difference, I think it was.
I tell you what, Burton's hardly owned for already, isn't he? He's sitting at 40% owned already. That's very high.
Yeah. And the other one as well that I thought would be a bit lower is Dewey, and he's lower. He's at 14.5%, so 0.8%. So it's still pretty high. I thought it'd be a lot lower than that, frankly, but because he is still 624,000. So
what's Dearden's a massive pot at 3%.
Yeah, that's right.
Cody Walker's a massive pot at 3%. Dylan Brown 4% as well.
What's that Luai at? Not that anyone will totally touch him.
Luai's at 1%. Hastings at 7%. Kiri at 3%. It's just. I'm not sure why Alexander Brimson's even 2% owned, but anyway. Surely for 50k cheaper, you'd go Dewey over Brimson every day of the week.
Yeah, I've had Brimson in my past as a pod, and he bit me probably harder than anything's ever bit me before. So
And you
never
had
do it.
warning. There was some old bloke I remember warning you about that.
Yeah.
That's what worries a bit. That's what worries me about going Tanner Boyd. We should probably speak about him a bit too. Like, I just think he's a massive trap, Tanner Boyd. Like, I just don't trust Holbrook at all with his rotations that he does. I just can't. I can't go him, and I can't even fit him in my team for starters. And I just think, you know, he's going to be one of those players that's going to end up being an AE nightmare. And I'd rather see what happens with him first and see whether he does lock in that halfback position and bring him in before his price rise and start him and get stuck with him and not be able to sell him. Do you guys agree on that?
Halfback.
Yeah.
Well, halfback, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a trap.
No, he's going to play hooker, man. He won't get halfback.
Tanner Boyd. No, they're talking about him starting in the halves.
No way.
No,
Well, that's
Aaron
what they're
Clark would
talking.
probably be a hooker, wouldn't he?
Huh?
You got Verrills
Aaron
there,
Clark
don't
would probably be a hooker, wouldn't he? Or Verrills?
No, Verrills will start hooker with Clark on the bench, but they're talking that Tanner Boyd was going to be starting in the halves.
Yeah, honestly, there's so many mouths to feed in those positions in the Titans. It's so much risk involved in that because one or two bad games, even if he did start there, one or two bad games, there's another new up and comer that'll just jump in and take his spot again. So
Sexton will surely start at halfback.
Sexton, that's it. Another one that's
got
got
and Brimson at fullback with Boyd, and Boyd I think is the one that's taken over Varelis in the hooker spot is probably the word.
The biggest risk with the Titans, as you pointed out a second ago, Ross and Brod, is that the fact is that they'll lose games, and once they start losing, that coach will panic and he'll start switching players. And the minute you've got a club that's switching players, it's just not conducive to Supercoach. You just
look what he did with Fafita. You know what I mean? Like, you kept moving Fafita around.
When you're paying them $1.1 million and playing him for 50 minutes off the bench.
Yeah. Like Walters with his right edge.
If he plays him properly this year, he could be, with being his contract year, he could go massive this year for Feeder. I think with Fafora and feeding him that ball out there, I think he could do really well this year.
I'll be waiting and seeing. I'm not going to be risking anything.
Oh, I'm the same. I'm waiting and seeing too, but
I've got a very close eye on it.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you mean? Fafita's probably playing fullback this year.
I thought
he was going to be paid. I thought he was getting paid $1 million a season to be the banana peeler or something.
There's what positions with Jaden Campbell?
Fullbacks.
That's it. All right, guys, let's move on to the fullback position. So I will start with my fullbacks. Bear with me. I have Drinkwater and Tedesco. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I thought Drinkwater would be a pod, but clearly not. I think that draw is really enticing there for him. So I'll go to you, Roscoe. What are you looking at, mate?
Yeah, well, mine's at Teddy and Turbo at the moment, but I am probably going to go Turbo up to Drinky. I said it the other day. I just love their draw, and I just think that the Cowboys are going to score some serious points these first few games, and I think he's one that you're probably going to want to own. But not owning Turbo scares me too as well. So, we see he's come back from the States. He's done what Latrell's done, and I think it's just hard because fullback's just that position. There's so many options this year. I'm even scared to not own Latrell, to be honest with you. That's the thing. Like, there's just so many options there that it's just hard to. Teddy's always my first pick every year. I can never not go him. It'll probably end up being Teddy and Drinky, I'd say. But stay tuned.
One actual possibility I was looking at to kind of build cash up to say maybe get like a gun center wing in my team is to go Drinkwater and Turbo and actually fade Teddy, because I feel like you got to, either way, you're fading a gun no matter what you do in that fullback position. So I just thought of the idea that I'd save quite a lot of cash right there, and I could probably turn a Sloan. I know I won't tell Sloan into, say, a Holmes. Just an option there. So that's just one of my thought processes right now. Obviously, we've got a few more weeks to go, but that's just one of my ideas I'm thinking of Alan,
But in saying that, looking at Roosters' draw, right, Dolphins and Warriors to start. Now he'll probably get massive points, but we don't know how the Dolphins are going to go. We don't know, but he'll probably rack up with some decent points against the Warriors. But then he's got South Para, Melbourne, and Sharks. So
He also played Newcastle first game last year and got a 32. Remember? So that was supposed to smash him.
yeah, but according to Supercoach Gold, he historically doesn't score well against the Dolphins, though. And he
doesn't.
says he's going to score 70-something points. To me, that's a pretty good score.
The Dolphins are undefeated, mate.
I reckon. I hear. Who was it? Manu has a very good history against the Dolphins. I've seen that. So
yes, it's quite funny, isn't it? Seriously. Yeah.
Well, Manu might have played them in the Queensland Cup, in a reserve grade game.
All right, Alan, how's your team going, mate? Or fullbacks?
I've got Teddy as well, just because it's Teddy. Obviously, sometimes he starts slow, and I've got Drinkwater as well, just because Drinkwater's a safe option in case Turbo goes big, because you don't have to get extra cash. You can just go straight to him, and I think Drinkwater's 6% ownership, so might be a pod.
He's a bit more potty at the moment than I thought he was. Actually, I thought he was.
He's about 6 or 7% or something. I think it is.
Yeah. Oh, good. Rod, let's hear some crazy pods here, mate. What's going on here?
Here we go. He's got to have something here.
Yeah, so fading Teddy. I'm going Latrell. Not Fatrell anymore. He's just I see. The way that he played, the way he's come back from that specialist, and then I'm going to go the Hammy brothers. So I'm going to chuck Turbo in there. So, and then somehow I'm going to buy Pappenhausen just so I can get all 3 twins in the team.
And which one are you planning on breaking first, Rod? Can you just give us a bit of free
Definitely
warning?
Teddy, mate.
Well, you can't break him if he's not in your team.
Yeah,
no, that's why everyone's traded him.
No, so.
We all know that the Rabbitohs have a pretty tough draw at the start, but I find that Latrell seems to do really good in those tough games.
He does. He always does. Seems to score well in the big games. Yeah.
T does scare me with the 2 games that he does have. Obviously, last year he didn't get a ton until the 8th round, but then the year before he got 2 tons in the first 2 rounds. So I don't know where the Roosters start, how they start this year compared to last year or the year before, but I don't know. Whenever Latrell's on fire, I just like him, and I think he's in the right mindset, seeing all his off season stuff. But he's going to come in and have fun. I think.
I think Latrell could match Turbo. Teddy points wise this year, or close to it. I really think he can.
I agree.
His ceiling is just as good as what Teddy's is, if not better. So, yeah.
I'm going to say it now that I think Trell will be the fullback to beat on points by the end of the year.
Yeah.
All bar injuries, of course. But I'm chucking it out
and
there.
suspensions.
I was just about to say suspensions too.
Hey, Ross, he's a must-have, mate. Get on him.
No, Teddy's the must-have, okay?
All right, Glenn, how your fullbacks looking, mate?
So I've got Tedesco's one. Not only have I got Tedesco, he'll be my captain in the first 2 rounds. And the second one, I originally had Drinkwater, but I decided I'm going to get Valentine Holmes in the centre wing to sort of counter for that draw that they've got. And I've gone Turbo. But if Turbo doesn't play or there's any worries on Turbo, it will be Latrell Tedesco. I really would like to get Latrell in there. It's just the points per dollar, the money I can save going Turbos enabled me to build up, get Valentine Holmes at centre wing with Toho.
Yeah, it's good to get some different options there, which is good. Not everyone had the same one. It was actually a strange one to see Alan with the. So I was going to go Alan first, just to make sure he wasn't copying Ross. But luckily he had a different one this time, so he can all can be forgiven. Is there any other options out there, guys, that we're looking at? I'm looking at them now. I can't really see very many options in the fullback position that we haven't really spoken about.
Pappenhausen.
Yeah, is he going to start? Like,
Yeah, if he starts. I mean, I think he's a risk to start with all the injury stuff around him, but you'd be a fool. I mean, do you know Pappenhausen scored more points last year in the first 8 rounds than any player in the history of the game? He's a phenomenal talent. And if he gets going, mate, Pappenhausen and Mitchell was what I wrote on my wall. That's who I was going to start next year.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think there's both goal kicking, both gun fullbacks. I mean, I like it. I do. It's just a lot of coin early. I'll be getting one and trying to build to the other.
The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is obviously they've lost a huge forward pack from Melbourne this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And, you know, let's look at the players that the people are thinking are going to be their starting side. It's nothing what they had last year.
But we've been fooled by that before. The way that the Storm play, right, is they've got a killer spine. That arguably the best spine in the comp. And what they do is they just get meat and potato forwards that just go forward. It enables that spine to do what they do.
Yeah.
So if he can get them forwards that he's bringing in to emulate that, and some of them players like Lorio, Eisenhower, there's a few in there that are capable. And if he just simplifies the game plan for them, go forward, and let the spine do what they do. So I'm not going to write off the Storm, but I do see the decline. Right, I agree.
There is two.
Katoa will actually be a decent player now. He's not at the Warriors.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited to see him do
There
something.
there is 2 other fullbacks that I want to talk about quickly, and that's one's Reece Walsh, 7% home.
Yeah.
Like that's for me.
If Ray doesn't play, you get on Walsh.
Yeah, and the other one's Ponga. There's been not been much talk about Ponga either. Is there any chance that he could still get the dual position at the start of the season?
He won't get it to round 6 or something, I got told.
But if they know he's going to play 5/8, which he is, they should be able to just change that now.
Absolutely.
If he got the dual position, would you guys be looking at him for round 1?
Yes.
I've seen him play 5/8 and I thought it was terrible. So I want to see it. I want to see it more.
I think he's
look
still better.
At who was outside playing and the pressure they put on him. Like he was not ready to make that change then.
Yeah.
No.
I reckon he could be ready soon. If he gets once he is ready, he'll be great. And it's one of those things you need to watch, you need to see. So
about the same age as Darren Lockyer, who's making the change.
Yep. Mate, what I saw of Ponga in Origin impressed me. And I've been a Ponga basher for years. Everyone knows I've been bashing Ponga. But what I saw him do in Origin, I was fucking impressed. He's going to build into that body, and I think he'll actually be a really good 5'8". I believe Ponga has the best hands in the game. Him and Latrell Mitchell, 2 of the best hands in the game. That aren't halves, starting halves.
Yeah.
When Ponga realises he's got to play the big game, the whole team, is when when that goes over in his little captain's mind, when all that kicks over, I think he will be unstoppable.
Absolutely agree.
He won't get found out as much in defence in the halves either, because he got found out a lot last season at fullback too. He was out, but his position was really bad at fullback.
Fullback's terrible.
Yeah.
That's targeted.
Yeah.
That's it.
The other one I've seen a lot of side is Nick Meaney, but as a Storm fan, I'm not going to touch him.
I don't hate it.
Because you're going to have him in the centre wing.
Well, he's going to play a couple of games at fullback, and then he's going to move to centre wing.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah, that's true.
If he goal kicks, but we don't even know if he's going to goal kick, though, when Paps comes back. Though.
Yeah.
It's very risky.
It's always risky having that. Like if you're going to spend that money, I think the best one to go there in that, because you would never have Meaney at fullback. You'd have him in centre wing, I think.
Yeah.
And the best, if you're going to spend that money, you go Val Holmes. You know he's going to kick goals. You know he has a great draw. So that's my opinion anyway on that one.
He's 643k.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's expensive.
Yeah.
Because he had a good run last year.
He did have a good run.
I think his run was really good when he was playing in the wing. So he was getting a lot of tries in the wing there. He was doing really good work. So when he went to fullback, he was okay, I guess, but nothing special. So
he was scoring some good scores though, but he was scoring better on the left wing when he played.
Yeah.
He averaged 61 last year, which is not the worst.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's easy when you turn up twice against the Broncos, mate.
Anyone can turn up. Anyone can turn up against the Broncos, can't they?
That's right.
Except for Tigers.
That's a tough one in round one because don't Broncos play Panthers and then obviously Roosters play Dolphins? It's like so many few different captain choices there.
What's going on with my video?
I don't know, mate.
Let's fix
You got the FBI after you.
Jimmy's been downloaded too much porn again.
Too much. What is there any such thing?
What do you mean? Glenn just watches football 24/7, mate. There's no time for porn.
Well, that's right. Exactly right.
He's watching every single podcast out there.
It's pretty close to the truth.
All right, guys. That's pretty much wraps everything up with our positions this week. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up before we change the head off?
No.
Let's throw out one statement that we think for the year.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Nice and early, eh?
Don't be scared.
Sawali, I've said it to you. I think Cobbo and Sawali are both in for huge years. I genuinely believe both of them will light up the competition this year.
I'm going to go more of a rugby league one, and this is actually probably something that I probably shouldn't say because I'm a Panthers fan.
Well, because you're going to say Panthers to win 3 in a row.
No, actually, I was going to go back a little bit words. I was going to say Panthers, but a lot of people are saying Panthers come second or first this year on the ladder. I'm going to say they'll miss the top 2. I'm going to say they'll be around 4th on the ladder this year. That's not really. It's not really hoping. I'd rather us be first, frankly. But I just don't think we're going to be as good as last year.
The kick out went up a couple of big losses for them.
Yeah,
definitely. They picked up Luke Garner. He's a very good.
Luke
Garner's good.
Yeah, and they've got Saruvi and Sonny Luke. Geez, they got some good players coming through.
Yeah.
They're a
bloody cows a big loss for 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
All right. Did we get one from Alan? What's your bold prediction for the year, mate? A season one.
Maguire won't last 6 rounds. He'll be gone.
All right, like it. I probably should write these down, but I'll just go back and record it later. And Roscoe, have you got one yet?
Nah, I don't have anything yet. I have to think about that one. I can't think of anything at the moment, to be honest with you. I don't like to agree with Glen, but I think Glen's on the money, and I did say it the other day about Sawali that I think he will have a massive year this year as well. But I'll come up with something different for next week's show or something. Come think of something else. I don't want to be boring. I want to come up with something.
My bold prediction is you're going to be
a really bold one.
Yeah. Now my bold one's going to be more like you're going to say must have of 12 times next episode. Rod?
My bold prediction is that the Tigers will make the
8. Let's go.
AFL or NRL? Which one?
I reckon the Tigers will be the killer of Supercoach points this season.
Yeah.
I genuinely.
I'll be the Dragons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put out there that there'll be 4 coaches sacked this year.
Yeah, I agree. The same top 8 that was last year will be this year, with the top 7, and then it'll be out of Raiders and a couple others, I reckon.
I reckon after just re-signing him, that Griffin will be sacked. It'd be in for about not even halfway through the season.
Oh, Manly can't afford 3 coaches on the payroll, mate.
No. Sorry, guys.
All right, guys. That wraps everything up for this week. Make sure you tune in. This will be on Spotify and YouTube, guys. So make sure you tune in next week. We'll be back live but we'll be back on Tuesday night, and we'll catch us all then. Peace out.
Cheerio, guys.
So you want to be a champion? Oh no! Now the knee. Well, that was it. Manu. What's he done there? He sold the dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. Manu's set up and thrown from Momirovski.
It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back and gets the football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf, and then just takes off.
Oh, what a beauty! So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.